Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
We'll set the tone for the show. You're killing us. All right, so your Jordan brand, huh?
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah, Jordan brand. Very nice.
He's not cheap anymore. That's why you hope the shirts you bought years ago last year.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Come on. Jeez, what are we doing?
Unless you go to North Carolina, he provides them with quite a bit of things.
Well,
Not as if he went there or anything.
Yeah. Well, he played against Penn State.
Really?
Yes.
Did not know that.
During the national championship year, his freshman year, Penn State played in the Cable Car Classic.
Oh.
And it was, I think it was actually at Santa Clara. And in North Carolina was ranked number 1. They won the national title that year. It was the year Jordan hit the shot.
The shot, yeah.
So Jordan's a freshman. And he scored 10 points against Penn State.
Really?
And the game went to overtime.
Oh.
And North Carolina finally won it. I think it was 56-50. And this was it was December of 81. So it was the 81-82 season.
year, yeah.
But yeah, that was one of their wins. That was one like, whoa. I mean, but North Carolina beat Penn State in overtime that year, 56-50 in the Cable Car Classic. So, yeah.
Did not know that.
Jordan had 10.
That I did not know.
Long list of...
Probably a long list of things, yeah, but that I definitely did not know. That's awesome.
No. But to be honest with you, it's I would say 98% of the audience, if not 99% of the audience, did not know that. So it's one of those stupid things I end up knowing. And
I have plenty of those facts that I know that nobody knows. But yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, but he did play against Penn State. And then I remember I did Lenny Bias's first game. First college game.
Oh, Maryland, yeah.
I did Lenny Bias's first college game at Maryland. It was down at the Baltimore Civic Center. And I think, ironically, mentioned how Jordan had 10. If I remember correctly, Lenny Bias had 10.
Had 10, really?
And Penn State won that game. They won the game like 97-79. And Dickie Muma had, I think it was like 17 points. And this was the year 82-83, so this is the very next year, right? Where the three-point line in the ACC, they were experimenting with putting it into the game. Well, it wasn't 19-9 at the top of the key. It was 17-9, 2 feet inside the top of the key.
Inside the top, yeah.
So I'm interviewing Dickie Muma in the postgame show. And I asked him, I said, what was it like to, to go out there and take shots, that were three-pointers? Because, Penn State had never played in a game with a three-point line before. And he looked at me, he says, there were three-pointers? I said, yeah. Because, again, they'd never played with the line.
Never played it before.
And that season had a lot of experimentation in it. You had to know before the game, and I think this went on for a couple of years. Where you had to know before the game what the rules were. Because some games like that had the three-point line at that spot. Then there were other games where there was no three-point line. It was only the ACC that was experimenting with it. Then the next year, they put in the 19-9 line, so that it would touch the top of the key. But some games you'd have a 45-second shot clock, and some games you would not. So you'd have to know, okay, What are we playing with today? Now, in a conference game, it was always the same. And Penn State was in the Atlantic 10 now at this point. Like, okay, so we're doing what today? So all those non-conference games would be a guessing game as to what the rules were ahead of time. So we're doing what? Then finally they made things permanent. And yes, the shot clock was 45 seconds. And Bruce Parkhill was able to get better players and a deeper team into the program. His ability with the lead, talk about playing with the lead. Bruce was brilliant with playing with the lead because Penn State would milk that 45-second shot clock and run the flex offense. And Penn State was really good at it. And suddenly there'd be about 8 seconds left in the shot clock. And said, all right, let's find a meaningful shot here. And they would. They won a lot of games where Penn State, in a lot of ways, would efficiently run out the clock in the game. Now, going to 30 seconds, I think they went to 35 first.
Yeah. Yep.
And they went to 35 first, then they went to 30. Look, that's been better for the game. When going to the 30-second shot clock, and also the fact that it's 20 seconds when the ball's out of bounds. You know, it drops down. That's way better for the game. Way better. It's like the NBA resets at 14.
Yeah, instead of 20, absolutely.
Instead of 24.
Yeah, that's big.
Right? I mean, bottom line is, you're already over half court, so you don't need the 10 seconds. That's why it's 20 in college and 14 in the NBA. It's just much smarter. I like the fact that they put in a coach's challenge for the upcoming season. It should have been in for a couple of years now. To me, it's part of the strategy of the game. Now, with replay in football, yes, coaches do have a challenge, but when's the last time you've seen somebody
an actual coach challenge? Yeah, it's not
succeed?
often. Not often.
In fact, I think I've only seen it succeed twice, and both went against Penn State. One didn't matter, one did. And the one that didn't matter was there was a fourth down play with Christian Hackenberg at Ohio State. And Ohio State's winning the game big. I mean, Penn State's down on they have 63 scholarship players. I think in Christian's year
63, 65,
yeah. Yeah, they had 63 scholarship players, and Urban Meyer was just merciless that night. It was a fourth down play. They said Penn State got it. And Urban Meyer challenged it, and they're winning by 1 billion. And Jack and I are looking at each other like, what are we doing here? Right? Well, it turned out he won the challenge. For goodness sake. I mean, let's just get on the plane and get out of here. Never forgot that. The other one was actually Kirk Ferentz, and he wanted intentional grounding on a play. And the quarterback broke the pocket for Penn State and threw it away. And Ferentz challenged that it did not cross the line of scrimmage, and he won it. Those are the only two challenges I ever remember where it ended up being a win. Because with replay now in college football the way it is, I mean, there really is no need to challenge. There really isn't any need to challenge the way it is now. I mean, it's got to be, and that's why challenges in college football are extremely rare, right? Because of the replay system. Basketball needed challenges, right? And they have to figure out in today's world of technology a more efficient system as to how they're looking at plays over there. Because there'll be times where you're complaining about the officials saying, well, what the heck are they looking at? Blah, 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 blah. And sometimes you're getting a better look on TV than they are because sometimes the technology down at the table sometimes isn't bringing up the play right away. And the next thing they need to do, and I believe they're going to do it this season, only a couple of arenas in college basketball had the communication like the NBA does, where they tell everybody what the challenge is and what the call, and then eventually what the call is. College basketball is absurd with that. You've got communication in college football, just like the NFL, where every person in the stadium knows what they are looking at and why they are looking at it. And then they tell you the result of what they've looked at as to how they judge it. College basketball, they'll sit there, they'll look at it, they'll go over and tell the TV people, well, excuse me, hey, guess what? There's an entire radio audience out there, and you've got fans. Okay? Above all, not just the radio. It's the heck with the radio audience. So let's put that to the side for a moment, okay? Tell the crowd what the call is, because on radio, we'll pick up on it ourselves right away. Tell them. It's absurd. You are sitting there, and you're acquiescing to TV, and you're telling them what the call is and why, right? Yep. And then the people in the stands are like, who paid gas money, concessions, parking, tickets, they're left to guess.
Yep.
But the person at home who just went in and made a sandwich while you were looking at the replay gets all the information. Really?
Yeah. You look at the first couple of years of replay, they didn't even show the replay. It was ridiculous. That was absolutely ridiculous, for crying out loud. It's almost like you're a spy or something.
I was furious about that.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Completely ridiculous.
I was furious about that.
Yeah, it made no sense.
Right. And I'm not talking about us. We have a monitor in the booth. We can see. Okay. So it's not us.
Absolutely.
I was furious because they thought, and I'm talking about the conferences. And well, if the people see the replay,
they're going to react.
They're going to react to it.
They're fans. They don't have a right to react.
They may storm the field.
That's unbelievable.
What are we doing here?
It's unbelievable.
Again, you pay for the gas, you pay for the food, you pay for the parking, you pay for the concessions, you pay for the tickets, you pay for the seat license, the whole thing. But the person at home who's making a sandwich during the replay and comes back down and sits down in the chair, knows everything that's going on.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Really?
I agree.
Oh, and by the way, you also paid your cable bill the same as the guy that's sitting in the chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, ridiculous.
They finally got that part.
Oh, they got that. Yeah, it took a couple of years, but
it took years to get to that stage.
Yep.
But they finally got that part.
I absolutely.
You want to talk about, when I look up the word archaic, there's a lot of decisions in college sports that are in the definitions.
Right.
Some of them have pictures.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing here? Golly. You just...
And that was really, I don't want to say before social media, it wasn't, but social media wasn't where it was then to where it is now. So you can't even say, oh, we're worried about that backlash. You're going to get that backlash anyway. That kind of stuff is just, it made no sense whatsoever. And I'm happy it's not the case anymore, at least.
But everything in this sport or sports takes so long.
All the time.
I mean, I'm talking like
all the time.
It just, I think we'll do that now. Really? We told you
all the time.
Decades ago.
All the time.
Oh,
literally ridiculous. It is. Well, baseball is a prime example. We got to speed up the game. We got a pitch clock. We got to speed up that game. You've been 10 challenges.
I know.
It doesn't. And basketball, same thing. Final 2 minutes, forget about it. You also give teams an extra timeout by doing that. They're out of timeouts. That's a strategy you use to your advantage if you're the other team.
Of course.
Challenge, on the other hand, no, you give them a chance to drop a play.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's unreal. By the way, Liam Clifford, Nick Dawkins, Dominic DeLuca, Nolan Rucci, and Garrett Sexton all were 4.0 in the spring semester.
All right.
Okay, so Great work by
Heck
them.
yeah.
Yes, school still matters.
Sure does.
Okay? It still matters. Despite what people may think about. I mean, the bottom line is this. Is that 97 to 98% of football players will not make it to the league.
Right?
Get your degree. Right? The percentage of getting to the NBA from college basketball
Less.
is even less.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 1%. Now, you will have players playing overseas, and they'll get paid to be overseas, and some can do it for a while. But after a while, you have to adjust to cultures, and you go from country to play, and it's a real odyssey because you love the game, and you are getting some coin to play. And not only are you getting some coin to play, you are getting your apartment's paid for. I mean, sometimes they get vehicles and so forth. Yep. So in other words, they're just getting money. Glenn Secunda was over there for years. He played over in Europe for years. Pete Lasicki played in Italy, but he had an exemption.
Yep.
Because his grandmother.
Yep.
Right. So he was not considered a, quote, foreign player, even though he was from Whitehall. It's like saying that, no, what you're saying, Saquon Barkley from Whitehall is he a foreign player playing for the Eagles? No. Pete and Saquon are as American as American gets, but they have their rules, and those are the rules. Tyler Smith wrote a book, which we had Tyler on the show, about the odyssey of traveling all over the world, Japan, Europe, Uruguay, to play professionally. So you can make money doing that, but it's not NBA money. And that's what you need your degree. You need your degree. And that is...
Absolutely.
That's going to be important. Very, very important.
Sure.
All right. So... Brett McMurphy put out his bowl projections here. Let's see. Very nice. Yeah, this year, by the way, is not. It's the Fiesta Bowl and the Peach Bowl, the semifinals this year.
Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl is the Orange Bowl of championship.
Yes.
Yeah,
well, it's at. I mean, the Orange, but it's not the Orange Bowl.
It's
where
Miami.
They play Miami,
where they Miami Pro Player Stadium or whatever it's called nowadays.
Because the college football playoff, that's an independent bid.
Yeah.
It's an independent bid, so anybody can get it. So in other words, if the Dome in Minneapolis wins the bid, they play the national championship game there, just like Lucas Oil Stadium hosted it when Georgia and Alabama played. And Georgia won the national title, which was incredible because it's the first time Georgia. No, that's a joke because Georgia did play at Notre Dame.
Right.
Hey, what's this? That's called the North. What is this? It's a northern city. Oh, really? Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah. The Major League All-Star game is next week. The draft will start on Sunday. I think that there's going to be at minimum 3 guys I can think of in the Spikes right away that there's no doubt in my mind they're getting picked. No doubt. And there's, I'd say, 3 others in the gray area. And they'd be, if it were a 40-round draft, then they could get as many as they probably would have had as many as a dozen players taken. If it were a 40-round draft, yeah. But it's a 20-round draft. So that is it's amazing how they've cut all that back. 20-round draft, 4 levels, all to save $1 million, which is that's what it is. It's $1 million per team.
Save. Yeah, sure.
All right. Like, well, that's $1 million. That's a utility infielder. Come on.
Yeah.
That's what cracks me up about this stuff. It's a utility infielder. But, yeah. All right. The Pirates are back to being the Pirates again. I have to give them a lot of credit. They have the ability to remember who they are. And the trade deadline is coming up. And a lot of people, every time you turn around, people keep putting out stories about trading Paul Skeens.
Right.
Don't be idiots.
Yeah, exactly. It's not happening.
I will say this about their bullpen. They have 2 guys in the bullpen that can close out games for them. You can trade one of them.
Yep.
And I think the most likely candidate is David Bednar.
Yes.
I think Bednar is going.
Yeah.
And, it's not like as if like Cade Smith of the Guardians and Griffin Jacks of the Minnesota Twins, right? I mean, those guys, guys like that are available. Right? But, people, that's what they're looking for. Here's one. Starting pitching. Okay? Mitch Keller is going to be a possibility.
Yeah.
I know the Toronto Blue Jays have looked at him,
Well, you look at bullpen, Philadelphia. It's no question going to be in play for a bullpen.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Oh, it was terrible. There's nothing. There's not a good closer.
But again, okay, okay. Sandy Alcantara could be moved by the Miami Marlins.
That could be a big one. He for years to me has not gotten the credit he deserves because he plays in Miami.
He's really good.
He's really good.
I'll throw out a name for you for Philadelphia. Okay, how about Emmanuel Clase?
Yeah,
for Cleveland. Huh? But it's amazing the bullpen part of it. It is with every team. You've got to be able to look at how the trend has been in recent years. Normally the teams that win, let's just say the teams that get to the Final Four, so they get to the American and National Championship Series. So let's take those 4 teams every year. You look at their bullpens, and the vast majority of those guys, there are a couple that are consistent all the time. They're really good, okay? Right. But the vast majority of the guys, especially the guys that would pitch the 6th, 7th, or 8th innings, are having either career years or the second best year of their career. That's why they change over all the time, because the teams realize that they all have a shelf life.
Sure.
And when they're trying to acquire people, when they're trying to acquire people in the off season, they are rolling the dice on all these guys that maybe we can get a career year or a second best year out of that guy. They don't know either. They're guessing, and they're hoping. And then sometimes, guy catches fire, does really well, the whole thing. Right? There are very few. Actually, there are none. Other than Mariano Rivera, who went from a setup guy for John Wetland to being a closer and have success at both levels.
No, there's a couple who have had it for a couple of years. I think Romo set up Brian Wilson, right? And San Francisco.
Yeah, oh sure,
So
that's a couple of years. Again, you're having
but in terms of
you're having career years.
No.
I mean, like the Mets need some pitching depth. They may go after Zach Gallen of the Arizona Diamondback, who's really, really good. I mean, there are a couple of guys on the Orioles that are going to be available in all this. And there's certain.
I can't figure the Orioles out.
No, I can't either.
I really can't.
I cannot in any way, shape, or form figure the Orioles out. There are certain teams that are mysteries as to what they're going to do. Are they buyers, sellers, or stand pat? Tampa Bay's in that spot. I don't know what they want to do. Do they want to stand pat? Do they want to buy? Do they want to sell? Can't tell. Arizona probably is in a selling spot, probably, but they still have a lot of talent on that team.
They do.
And then there's the Red Sox. The Red Sox are playing great right now. All right. I mean, they're really playing well. Now, the schedule's also broke for them. They've had Washington and Colorado as their last two. I mean, anybody can put together a 60-game winning streak against those two teams, to their credit. But they're playing really well. The kids are playing well. Mayer's playing well. Anthony's hitting the daylights out of the ball. And they're getting Bregman back. So do they make a move somewhere? Okay. Because let's face it, 3 weeks ago, they may have been sellers.
Yep.
You know, what do we do? Do we move Jaron Duran? What do we do with Trevor Story? So they're a gray area team. The Cubs would be buyers, yes, but I don't know if the Cubs need to buy anybody. And then there's the Dodgers. I don't think people realize. The Dodgers have lost 6 games in a row.
Yeah, they've not looked good doing it either.
No, they've lost 6 games in a row. And they have the gross domestic product of Guatemala.
Yeah. The Rays acquired Brian Baker from the Orioles, so they definitely are in getting a reliever there.
Okay.
So they're making moves. They're in good position. They're ahead of the Red Sox right now. They got the series in Fenway.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. In terms of the Dodgers, way too much talent to be as inconsistent as they've been this year.
Way too much talent.
Way too much talent. Way too much payroll. Way too much ownership. Way too much everything.
Way too much. You name it.
Way too much traffic in L.A.
Yes. I'll say that the Dodgers. It turned out when Penn State played USC, it was Game 7 between the Mets and the Dodgers that Friday night when we were in L.A. Now we didn't go to Dodger Stadium. We went out to dinner that night. But we were walking from the JW downtown, which means we have to go past Crypto.com Arena because it's all part of the same complex at LA Live, right? And over to the restaurant that we were going to. And all on the street, all the Dodger memorabilia being sold. And Dodger Stadium's like 3 miles away from where we were. Okay. All the Dodger memorabilia and Ohtani memorabilia being sold on the street. I was taken aback by how much there was. I mean, it looked like we were over at Chavez Ravine with vendors all over the place. And this is over where the Lakers play and the Kings. Play, right? Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
So.
And they played USC in October? That should have been Lakers fever right there, pretty much.
I mean, to start the season,
at
this point, the Lakers, would they have started the season?
No, it would have been preseason.
No, it was preseason at that point. But it was also a Game 7 that night.
Yeah. Yep.
With the Mets and the
True.
Dodgers.
Yeah.
So for the right to go to the World Series. And the Dodgers, of course, won the World Series last year. But they're beloved there. The Lakers are beloved there.
Oh, there's no doubt.
The Kings need to win to be beloved.
Yes. Yeah, even with 2 Stanley Cups, still not.
The Rams need to win to be beloved.
I think football needs to win to be beloved. I think football is down in LA.
The Chargers,
professional football is.
The Chargers, even if they do win, are not going to be beloved. That's one of to me to this day is.
They wanted 2 teams in LA. That's what it came down to.
To me, to this day, I still am baffled why the Chargers didn't stay in San Diego.
Yep.
I realize you got to
here.
fight for a stadium and the whole thing.
Yep.
I got that, but you had the market to yourself.
Yeah.
Yep. Where you had the Padres in the summer and you had the Chargers. You're fine. You had no threat of having hockey there. There's no threat of having basketball there. Okay, San Diego State's they fill the void of basketball in the winter months, and that's fine. But that's a great market. It's one of the reasons. I mean, what they got Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. Why? Because going to San Diego is great. But they moved the team to L.A. where they're an afterthought.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you could talk about Jim Harbaugh all you want being there, and Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Right. Herbert's a terrific NFL quarterback. Terrific.
Yeah.
Right. And Harbaugh, obviously generates publicity.
Sure.
But people there don't know they're there. It's strange.
Yeah, it is, and I think part of it again. I think it comes down to a couple things. I think the league wanted 2 teams in Los Angeles to get the market going.
Yeah, but
it just made no sense.
Yeah, but this is okay. But this is
part of it.
While I understand what you're saying,
yep.
The NFL for years brilliantly leveraged Los Angeles to get stadium deals in Minneapolis, Indianapolis, right, and I think there was one other place where they got a stadium deal, right, and because of the threat of we may move to LA, why not leave the second spot open so you could then use it as the leverage, threat and the leverage while still having a team in San Diego?
Yeah, the other part of it, I think the Chargers, they're going to be second. I agree. They're going to be second to the Rams. And the other part of it is, they were 11-6 last year, but I think when you look at it as a whole, they've underachieved. I think the last couple of years, especially.
Talk about the Rams or the Chargers?
The Chargers.
Chargers.
The Rams are getting better. I think the Rams are on their way up. But for the Chargers, I think they've underachieved. You have the Chiefs in their division, which makes it even worse. So I think that
doesn't help.
No, and that's a big part of it. You have a Raiders team that is always going to be incredibly popular, no matter where they play.
And they have no popularity. When they play at SoFi, are there some Charger fans? Of course there are.
Sure.
But it seems like the majority of the crowd is there to watch the other team.
Rams are in the same boat.
And when they went and played at, was it the Home Depot Center? What's it called now?
I still call Crypto Staples, so you were ahead of me on that one.
Well, no, I'm talking about the soccer stadium.
Soccer stadium,
Penn State's practiced there so many times for the Rose Bowl. That's where they practice. Now, they don't practice on the pitch. There is a practice area just below the stadium, okay? But we've been there, and I know it seats like 27,000. I remember the last time when Penn State went there a couple of years ago, the 22 season, and Jack and I are standing there. We looked up at the place. And Jack says, "Can you believe an NFL team played there?" I said, "No." You left San Diego and played, and every time somebody played there, the place was. I mean, the Chargers as the home team, had to communicate with hand signals.
Yeah, Rams did the same thing a couple times this year when they played the Eagles.
Right, and now even at SoFi, they don't get that.
No.
And to be honest with you, when I went to SoFi, I realized the Rams had just played there.
Yeah.
I realized the Rams had just played there. So the field still had all the Rams, logos on it, end zones were for the Rams and so forth. And Penn State did use the Rams locker room. I saw no sign of the Chargers in there at all. And I'm not talking about in the stadium, because it's like MetLife.
Yeah.
MetLife will change over the color scheme and things like that, just like SoFi changes over the color scheme in the stadium. I'm talking about the underneath area. The underneath area, I saw nothing about the Chargers. Now I realized the Chargers locker room was further down.
Sure.
But I never saw anything for the Chargers there. It's just,
It's a franchise that doesn't have, obviously we're not talking the tradition of the Steelers, the Cowboys, etc., but the Chargers have a good tradition. Not great, but I think good enough. They have plenty of Hall of Famers have come through that franchise. I think a lot of people have debated it. I think Phillip Rivers will get in eventually. Obviously, Dan Fouts, Lance Allworth, LaDainian Tomlinson, Junior Seau was one of the great linebackers I ever saw. Yeah. There's no doubt that franchise has a good tradition. They've been to the Super Bowl, and they've been to conference championship games. Kellen Winslow, another Hall of Famer, by the way. But it's absolutely, it's mind-boggling. It is, and I agree with you. That they made the move, and again, part of it, I think, is they've underachieved. Part of it is, look, you have a team in your division that's going to be better than you for a little while.
Sure.
But, it's baffling right now to why they made that move, and it's showing. It's just that they don't get the notoriety or recognition. And look, this was the case for many, many years when the teams played in different stadiums with the Jets and Giants. It was the Giants' town. It still is.
Sure.
And that's where... they had no choice. They didn't move anywhere. The Chargers, on the other hand, I didn't understand it.
I mean, it's interesting. I realized that MetLife, or before that, the Meadowlands, was a better stadium than Shea Stadium. Shea Stadium.
Oh, there's no doubt. My God.
Yet.
If it weren't for Veteran Stadium, Shea Stadium was the worst baseball stadium I've been to.
I mean, yet the Jets loved playing in Shea Stadium.
Had the home field advantage for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's like Celtics when they played the Boston Garden.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, I did attend a game in
the Garden. I've never been to the. I wanted to go there and never got there.
The old Boston Garden.
Yep.
And Bird and McHale and Parrish and those guys all playing. So it was.
Took them about 100 years to turn that into a parking lot.
But it's a good parking lot.
It is. But absolutely, without question, that was a home court advantage. It was 107 degrees in there in the NBA Finals when the other team would come in.
Just bring towels.
Absolutely.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And the Celtics had the advantage, too, because they just knew the parts of the parquet. Knew the parts of the parquet that were good, knew the parts of the parquet that were not so good.
I'll never forget first time Penn State practiced in the Jordan Center. Ed DeChellis was an assistant coach. And the players are just coming out and meandering, and most of us are looking around because I'd been there. I'd been there when they were doing construction. They said, "Hey, you want to come in and see what we've done so far?" I said, "Sure." All right. And but now you're kind of looking around. I'm like, I remember saying to somebody, I said, "What'd you guys do with this place?" I said, "This isn't a basketball arena." Oh, you don't understand. I said, no, I pretty much do.
Yeah.
It's like, I've been to a lot of places. I think somebody asked, Dick Girardi and I have this little thing. I think he's at like 172 arenas. I'm at 158. So don't tell me that we don't know what we're talking about arenas. We've been to more arenas than you have been to. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we've seen all sorts of designs, old, new, the whole thing. But Ed DeChellis out there with a basketball, going up and down the court with the ball. And I said, Eddie, what are you doing? He said, I'm looking for dead spots. Like, okay.
Every
made total sense to
venue
me,
has them.
right?
Absolutely.
He said, I'm looking for dead spots on the floor.
You built the United Center in 1994. There were dead spots on that floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
100%.
Just the nature of the floor. It has nothing to do with
it's got nothing to do exactly.
You could spend and get the single most expensive floor on the face of the earth and have Connors make it. Connors one of the best.
Yeah.
In terms of the ability to make floors. Right? And have them make it.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's still going to be a dead spot somewhere.
Yep.
It's just the way it is, how it's put together. Sometimes it doesn't quite fit exactly to a T, or the boarding underneath it that's supporting it. There's something. They all have a dead spot somewhere.
Absolutely.
All right. But that's what he was doing, going up and down the floor, looking for dead spots in that floor. And that was cracking me up. All right. But it was exactly what a coach should be doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, then that's what he was doing. He was just like, he said, I'm trying to find dead spots. I'm like, okay, you know what? I completely understand it. How about the Scott Frost dust up down at the Big 12 Media Days, where he admits, he says, I probably shouldn't have left UCF. I was going to Nebraska.
Yeah.
So let's get to a couple things there. One, can you blame him for wanting to go to his alma mater?
No.
Of course not. You can't blame him for that. You're having success. Here's a chance. I can be the guy to bring it back to the Tom Osborne, Bob Devaney years. I can do that. Nobody knows the Nebraska culture like I do. Nobody understands it like I do. And, of course, he was welcomed as the conquering hero when he came in.
Sure.
Now, it didn't work out that way.
No.
So now he goes back eventually to UCF. And UCF is now in the Big 12. Now, who knows how much success he would have had at UCF, especially making the transition from the American into the Big 12. I mean, Cincinnati hasn't done well since doing it.
Right.
UCF's been okay since doing it. Houston's been okay since doing it. BYU's been okay since doing it. So it hasn't been great for any of them except for the money. But Nebraska fans were all bent out of shape about it, that he made the statement.
Right.
Over here in the back, you fired him.
You fired him. Yeah,
you fired him after the Ireland game.
That's what I'm thinking, too, when you said that. They fired him.
Yeah, you fired him after the Ireland game.
Yeah.
When they lost to Northwestern.
Yep.
Which, by the way, is the only game Northwestern won that
year. Yeah.
He didn't walk out on you and take the UCF job and say, you know what, I never should have left.
And not to mention the way he left, the way he handled that, you couldn't handle it better as a coach.
Right.
Could not handle it better. The way he handled the media, the way he handled how he addressed his players first. You can't leave. If you're leaving a head coaching job, that model is how to do it. Scott Frost could not have done it better.
Right.
So that's
You're
ridiculous.
Sitting there, like, how dare you? I can't believe it. Excuse me. You fired him.
Yeah, you fired him.
And you didn't fire him at the end of the year. You fired him after the first game.
And Nebraska fans are some of the best in college sports. Absolutely some of the best in college sports. So it doesn't apply to all. When we're saying this, I think that is the one thing I would say. You're in Lincoln, Nebraska. That is a college football town. That is a sensational town. But that makes no sense.
But it's also in an area where you have to accept certain realities. Mm-hmm. They are in an area that does not have a natural recruiting area. No. You can talk about the great walk-on program that they've had over the years, but guess what? That doesn't cut it today.
Not today.
Okay?
No.
The walk-on program is your practice squad.
Right.
Do you get the gems like a Dominic DeLuca?
Right.
Of course. There's always going to be a gem like Dominic DeLuca. All right. But I'll give you an example. Like a guy that's a great walk-on, and I think would be a star at an FCS team, or I think might be a star at a MAC team. Might be a star at a MAC. Tyler Holsworth. Halsey would be a guy that on a MAC team, I think he'd be starting. I think he'd be like, hey, this guy has a chance to be all-conference, the whole thing. Put him on an FCS team, he might be an All-American. I mean, Halsey's a good running back, knows how to play the whole deal. But, of course, here, he's a walk-on. But Nebraska doesn't have a natural recruiting area. There's not a ton of talent in the state of Nebraska or in Lincoln or Omaha. There's some, okay? There's some, but only some. They've got to go to Texas, Florida, and California to essentially recruit. And once they left the Big 12, the Texas spigot of talent slowed down dramatically because they used to be able to go in and say, hey, look, we're in the Big 12. We're going to be playing Texas. We're going to play Texas Tech. We're going to play, at one point it was Texas A&M was in there. We're going to play Baylor. So we're going to be down here playing all the time. When they went to the Big 10, which financially has been a windfall for them, when they went to the Big 10, you no longer could say to recruits, hey, we're going to be playing at Baylor, we're going to play at Texas Tech, we're going to play at the University of Texas, because Texas was still in the Big 12. They couldn't say that anymore. No. And that became something they could not sell any longer. They can get California, some. They can get some in Florida.
Yep.
But they've got their recruiting area is it doesn't yield anything. So let's take Penn State. Pennsylvania is like any other recruiting area. There are ebbs and flows. Some years are phenomenal, some years are okay. Right? It's cyclical in this state. And that's the way it's become because the population in the country has changed. I believe Pennsylvania is still the 5th most populous state in the country, if I have that right. But the high school football pipeline of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, which was so important, there's been a shift where you feel like you can do really well in Maryland now. But because the population is gradually shifting, especially more toward the south, you have to expand your recruiting area. But there's still enough talent in this state where, as James says, dominate the state, you have a chance to have a terrific team. There's no getting around it. And you can do that. And there's a lot of terrific Pennsylvania players on this team right now. Last time I checked, the running back number 10's a Pennsylvania kid.
Yep.
Oh.
Last time I checked.
Oh. And so's Martin, and so's Tyke Hayes. I mean, they've got guys, from this state that are critical.
Yeah, that was just drafted 3rd overall. Was a Pennsylvania guy.
He's a Philly guy. All right, Abdul Carter. Right. So there's talent within the state. Nebraska doesn't have that.
It's true.
Nebraska doesn't have that. Right? I mean, Pennsylvania owns this state. It doesn't mean there is an occasional they lose a guy, or whatever.
Sure.
Which, anytime like one goes, I'm like, oh my God, slow down. Right? It's like, okay, right? But Pennsylvania has, and again, some years are good years, and some years are great years in Pennsylvania for recruiting. It's just cyclical, like anything. But Nebraska doesn't have that. There's a reality to it. Yet the loyalty, the 90,000 plus fans. I will admit, though, this streak goes back to 1962. In recent years, now last year there was more excitement around the program.
Yeah,
Dylan Raiola.
Yeah. And Raiola. Yep.
Okay, at quarterback. But in the years from 21, 22, and 23, there were major donors buying up tickets to keep the streak going. So I was on Big Ten radio. Did I tell this one yesterday? I was on Big Ten radio yesterday about it means more.
Yep.
That cracks me up. Because I said to them, I said, what? It doesn't mean. I said, it's competitive. Well, it means a lot more to you. We'll just hand it to you in a silver platter. I said, no, it means a lot to go and play. But you know what's interesting about it? Talk about rabid fans. The SEC has rabid fans.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah.
Right. But remember, I've done football and basketball games.
Sure. SEC country,
right?
sure.
Right. All over the place. There's no difference. In terms of the stadium atmospheres?
No, in terms of atmosphere.
Right? You're talking about stadium atmosphere at Penn State, stadium atmosphere at Ohio State.
Columbus, yeah, sure.
Right? As two examples.
Yeah.
I've done games at Alabama. I've done games at Alabama. Yeah, Kinnick Stadium.
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I've done games at Alabama, done games at Auburn. I've done basketball at Kentucky. No offense. There's no difference.
No.
Right? It's not louder.
No.
It's not.
No, in Ohio State.
Now, have I done a game at Baton Rouge at night? No.
No, and that's
right. I haven't. No, I haven't.
You've done it at Jordan Hare. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I did a night game at Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I haven't done a game at Georgia.
Right.
Okay. The only time Penn State played Georgia in basketball was in the NIT semifinals, where Larry Brown wrecked Jared Stevens' knee. And the other one was actually in Phillips Arena, where the Hawks played.
The Hawks, yeah, used to play.
That was a doubleheader. It was the Kuppenheimer Classic. Penn State played Georgia in the second game. The first game was Kentucky and Georgia Tech, and it was a great game. And that was the year that where Kentucky got to the Elite Eight, and Leitner hit the shot.
Mashburn.
It was the 91-92 team. So I got to watch that team in person going, ooh, they're pretty good. Pitino was the coach.
Yeah.
But those are the only times Penn State's played Georgia when I've been around them.
Football, they've only played, since the national title game, played Tax Slayer Bowl. That's it, right?
Tax Slayer Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only other Georgia game I've done I refer to it as the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, Tax Slayer Bowl, the bowl in Florida.
It's the Gator
Jacksonville.
Bowl. It's the Gator Bowl. I, with all due respect to the great sponsors that keep these things going, I really don't.
No, and that's how it is with stadiums. How many people don't call Acrisure? With the money they pumped in.
They still call it Heinz Field.
Same like I said to you, I still call Staples Center State, Crypto.com, Staples.
Yeah. With bowl games?
Yeah.
No offense, I still refer to the one in Orlando as the Citrus Bowl.
The Citrus Bowl.
I still refer to the game.
Yeah.
The game I did as the Gator Bowl. It's the identity.
You also don't know who sponsors these. Well, you do if you do them, but you don't know who. But Fiesta Bowl, I still think is Tostitos, and it's PlayStation now, or yeah, it was PlayStation. Might be different now.
No, what was it this year?
See, it changes so much. I know it was PlayStation when Penn State played Washington.
It was not PlayStation.
It changes so much.
I just called it the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Orange Bowl. I'm not even sure who sponsored the Orange Bowl.
No, if it was FedEx for so many years, that's the thing. Sugar Bowl for many years was USF-G, and then Allstate and Nokia.
Yeah.
They changed so much. It's literally.
Now, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl?
That one's easy. Yep.
Yeah, that one is easy.
Because it's also in Atlanta. It's also in a where the Chick-fil-A is headquartered.
But it was one of those that was the Chick-fil-A Bowl for many years, and then they were forced to add back in peach.
Yeah.
Because, and the college football playoff was right about this. I thought this was great foresight on their part. That one of the caveats to becoming one of the New Year's Six games, because believe me, there were people fighting to be in the New Year's Six. Orlando wanted to be in. They were. It was a big deal for the Cotton Bowl to get back in. Right, a big deal for the Cotton Bowl to get back in. And they said that one of the conditions was you had to put the name of the bowl with the sponsor, because they knew sponsors would change.
Yeah,
but that name would stay the same
and
would keep it stable as an identifier. That's one of the biggest problems you have in golf right now. And we're going to be playing the Travelers. Well, where the heck is the Travelers?
Yeah.
Now, I grew up in Connecticut, so I know it's in Cromwell. Sure. I got it. But I grew up there. You're living in Wyoming watching the tournament. I go, where the heck are we? Right? You never know what golf tournaments are these days.
No.
Right?
Nope.
Like, what the heck is it? Quail Hollow. What the heck is that tournament? But it's down in North Carolina. You're like, okay. Like they never tell you where the tournaments are anymore.
Nope.
You have to sit there and go, okay, where is this? It looks pretty.
Yeah.
It looks really nice. Looks tough. But they never tell you what town they're in. It used to be the Greater Hartford Open, the Greater Milwaukee Open.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, they're playing in Milwaukee this week.
Yeah.
Hey, great. Tiger Woods going to make his professional debut. Great. Right? Now it's like, I don't know. It's like some mystery tour. You have to tune in and go, oh. Yeah, unless you get really established. Like the Waste Management Open, everybody knows is in Scottsdale.
That's Scottsdale, yeah.
Right. I give them credit for that. But, like, yeah. That's the same thing with the bowl games. Like, hey, where is this bowl?
No idea.
Right? It's what the heck? It's what's the one in St. Petersburg that they moved over to Tampa? What the heck was that bowl? It's still there. It's a food place, right?
Is it the Outback Bowl?
No, not the
that
Outback
one's in
Bowl.
Tampa.
No. It's now the ReliaQuest Bowl.
Yeah. Well, that's still the Outback Bowl.
Yeah. What the heck was it?
Trying to think.
Gasparilla.
Gasparilla Bowl or whatever.
The Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah.
And you're sitting like going, where is this game? They played at the Trop. Now they play it over in Tampa. Like, okay. Still the all-time best. The Poulin Weed Eater Independence Bowl. Now, at least you knew because of the Independence Bowl part was in Shreveport.
Yeah.
But the Poulin Weed Eater Independence Bowl. But I'm bad about that. I never mentioned the sponsors in the game.
It's honestly hard to remember them, and that's even the.
That's why I used to mention the Tax Layer Bowl. I'm like, to me, it's a Gator Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, come on, let's go. Yeah, jeez. Oh well. All right. Well, another great show for you. Where I just felt that you. Yeah. Okay. So, by the way, I got you a gift. I decided that at the Arts Festival, I wanted to get 2 pieces of art that I felt spoke to you. So I didn't really get them at the Arts Festival, but I got dogs smoking cigars while playing poker. I just thought that really was emblematic of you. And then I also bought you dogs smoking cigars while playing billiards.
There you go.
Right? Now, admittedly, I did not pick them up downtown. I picked them up at a Buc-ee's. When I was down south. You don't seem to be grateful.
Oh, absolutely great.
You haven't had that look on your face since you got the Metallica tickets.
Well, that I don't. That look changes when I get the bill. Like,
oh yeah. Oh, I can imagine. All right, I paid how much? See, that's the thing. Got them on discount.
there you go, on sale.
I was told they were originals.
I was told my Rolex was original in New York City too. When I did.
Perfect.